So in the first part of the lesson, we looked at two shapes, and we looked at how you would find the area of those two shapes. And both of the shapes that we're looking at were composite shapes, or two simpler shapes put together. In this part of the lesson, we want to look at how you'd find the perimeter of a composite shape. Now let's just remind ourselves what we mean by perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around the outside of the shape. Okay? So to find the perimeter, what we need is the lengths of all the sides on the outside of the shape. This is an important point because sometimes when we're looking at these composite shapes, we have dotted lines drawn in the middle of the shape just to show where one shape begins and the other shape ends. Those lines do not contribute to the perimeter. So it's just the sides on the outside of the shape that we're looking for. So here's the question that we're given. Find the perimeter of each shape. And we're going to look at the same two shapes. We're just going to look at them in the opposite order. So this is our the shape that we finished with last time. Let's just slide this over a little bit here. Now, the steps that we want to follow here are similar to what we did with area, but slightly different. First thing, it's always helpful to identify the shapes. So what two shapes are going together to make up our composite shape? Well, if we draw a little dotted line here again, we know that we have a square and a triangle. Okay? Now remember that dotted line that I just drew does not contribute to our perimeter. Here's the important step. Step 2. We want to label our diagram with all of the outside lengths, the lengths of all of those outside sides. So let's look at our diagram here. What I've got so far is I've got 6 centimeters labeled right there. I want to have all of the outside shapes. So this one isn't labeled, so I should label it 6 centimeters. This one over here isn't labeled, I should label it 6 centimeters. I know those are all the same because they have that same little dotted line there. I know that this one down here is 4 centimeters, and these two little dots have disappeared, but those two hash marks mean that this side here and this side here are the same length, so I can label this one 4 centimeters. So I should be able to start at one point on the outside of my shape, go around the outside, and every side should have a number labeled representing its length. So 4 centimeters, 6 centimeters, 6 centimeters, 6 centimeters, 4 centimeters. Good. They're all labeled. If I've got them all labeled, the last step to getting our perimeter is just add up the lengths of the sides. And when you're doing this, just go around the outside. Go around the outside of the shape. So if I start where I've made this blue dot and I go around the shape, let's see, my perimeter is going to be, first I come to a 4 centimeters, so 4 plus 6 plus another 6 plus another 6 plus 4. And if I just add those up, that gets me a perimeter of 26 centimeters. And I'm done. Okay? So just label the sides on the outside, lengths of the sides on the outside, and then go around adding them up. Now, why is step 2 here the tricky step? Because sometimes you're not given enough, you have to do some calculations to figure out what the lengths of some of the sides are. So we'll take a look at an example at our next shape, which is an example of when you have to do that. Here's our second shape. It's the same shape that we started with before when we were working with our areas. And let's just remind ourselves what those steps are that we're going to follow. We're going to start by identifying the shapes. Identify. Then we are going to label the outside lengths. And then we are going to add up the lengths going around the outside. So the shapes that we have here, we have, once again, as we had last time, we have a half circle, and we have a trapezoid. And in this case, it's going to be helpful for us to think of our trapezoid, not so much as a trapezoid, but as sort of a rectangle with two triangles stuck on the outside. Okay? So we can draw those triangles there. So I'll just put triangle in brackets. Okay? Because we're going to use some triangle properties in this one. So we want to go around the outside and label all of the outside lengths. So let's see. We've got a 10 centimeters right here. I don't know what this is. Wait, I don't know what this curved line up here is. And I don't know what this is over here. So I've got a bit of work to do before I can label all of my lengths. So what should we start with here? Well, let's start with this curved line right here. We'll call it, because it's curved, we will call it C. Okay. What shape do we have there? Well, that side C is 1/2 of a circle there. So our length C is going to be 1/2 of the circumference of a circle. So 1/2 of, and we look up the formula for circumference of a circle, it's pi times diameter. Okay? Or we want the circumference of that circle, pi times diameter, and then we want to divide it by 2. So we need to know what our diameter is. Well, let's see. We look at this. We see that our center of our circle would be right here. Our diameter goes all the way from one side to the other, so that's going to be our 6 centimeters. So pi times 6 divided by 2. Let's plug that into our calculator, and we get 9.42. So finally, we can label that side. This is 9.42. Now we still have these two question mark sides over here, so let's label these guys as well. Let's call them X and X, because we know that they're the same length. This is where we're going to use our triangle properties here. So let's just switch over to green here so we can see what the triangle stuff is. I've got a little right angle triangle in here, and I know that this side of my triangle is going to be 4. This is the side that I'm trying to find, X, the long side. I need to know what this side is down here. Well, from here all the way over to here is 10 centimeters. I've got 6 centimeters from here to here. So that leaves me with 4 centimeters to split between here and here. So if I put 2 here and 2 here, 2 plus 6 plus 2 gives me 10, which gives me the entire distance from here to here. So that little side down there has to be 2. And now I can treat this just as I would any other right angle triangle. I label my sides C, A, B. Okay. I know I'm going to use C squared equals A squared plus B squared. My side C is my X, so X squared. A, I see there, is 4. My B is 2. So now I can work out what X is going to be. So X squared is 16 plus 4. X squared, 16 plus 4 is 20. So X is going to be the square root of 20. So X is going to be, punching this into our calculator, 4.47. So I can label this as well. X equals 4.47. Same thing over here, 4.47. So now, if I go around the outside of my shape here, let's say I start right here, I go around, I can see, yeah, this is labeled, this is labeled, this is labeled, all of my sides are labeled. So now I just need to add up those lengths. So my perimeter is going to be that 10 along the bottom, plus 4.47 for that one slanted side, plus the 9.42 for the curved side, plus another 4.47 on the other slanted side, and I just total that all up, and I get 28.36 centimeters. And that's my final answer.